Good day there once again, viewers. Your mate Gascogne Tier, and today, my friends, I've got some really swell World of Warships content in store for you guys. Today we're going to be talking about the French Tier 8 battleship, the Gascogne? The Gascogne? To be honest, guys, I really don't know how this thing is pronounced, and I know that I'm going to butcher it regardless, so I'm just going to stick with the more slightly educated guess of Gascogne for this video. And yes, you have permission to butcher me as a result in the comment section down below for this brutalization of a pronunciation. Anyway, pronunciations aside, I want to quickly emphasize that this ship here is still a work in progress and is only available to super testers and content creators at the moment. The stats, abilities, and playstyle of this ship are not finalized, and thus I'm not able to directly show you guys any of the stats from the in-game screen. I will be able to talk about some of the stats that stand currently, but once again, take those stats with a grain of salt. But let's talk about the ship herself. Where does she stand? What are her highlights? What are her downsides? And what loadout should she be running? Well, the first thing that stood out to me like a sore thumb was this little guy down here. That's right, that's the engine boost ability. This right here is a battleship that features engine boost, and when you outfit it correctly, she can get all the way up to a whopping 34 knots. Yeah, for a battleship, that's bloody ridiculous, and something that I noticed straight off the bat with this ship, and it might be down to the fact that people aren't used to a battleship moving at 34 knots. I know it would sure as shit catch me by surprise, but while playing this ship, I was actually seeing rounds land behind me while I was moving in a straight line. People were missing me based on how fast I was going, which is kind of a breath of fresh air for a battleship, quite frankly. Now, surely that would be all when it comes to maneuverability when it comes to the ship as far as highlights go. Well, no, it isn't. This ship also comes with an absolutely ridiculous rudder shift time of 15.3 seconds, placing it right in the middle ground between other battleships and cruisers of that tier level. So combine the speed and rudder shift, and we have an incredibly maneuverable ship. A ship that is incredibly competent at reacting to new threats quickly even when caught off guard. Dodging enemy shells, islands, and even some epic torpedo beats are very doable in this ship.
Javu, I just been in this place before. Higher on the street, and I know it's my time to go. Going new, and the search is a mystery. Standing on my feet, it's so hard when I try to be me. Whoa, Javu, I just been in this time before. Higher on the beat, and I know it's a place.
And that right there is pretty much the main attraction of this ship, and could very well be the niche of the upcoming French battleships, a line of incredibly maneuverable battleships that feature speed boost for making quick escapes. And the rest of the stats of this ship, as they stand currently, really do place an emphasis on that mobility. The ship's armament is composed of two 4-barrel turrets firing 380mm shells, one turret located on the front and one on the rear of the ship, unlike the Dunkirk, which features all of its firepower on the front of the ship. Her guns also feature really good reverse speed that makes them great to keep up with the ship's signature mobility, which isn't really going to be an issue there. Which doesn't sound so bad on paper until you hit the dispersion for the main battery, which at the time of making this video is the highest among all the tier 8 battleships in the game currently. Combine that with the movement of the ship and you get yourself something that is really designed for spray and pray in the World of Warships world. Her secondaries aren't too bad either. Nothing special, but the HE focus for the secondaries gives them a little bit of brawling power to score some fire damage on larger targets. The AA on this ship is, well, look, it's not Musashi level AA, but once again, it's nothing worth going head over heels for. So what we really have here in a nutshell is a battleship that sacrifices weapon power and accuracy for mobility, which really isn't a niche that we've seen here in World of Warships before. We have seen battleships sacrifice weapon power and accuracy for secondary weapons, i.e. the German battleships, but the French battleships, if the Gascogne is anything to go by, is going to provide mobility over that weapon accuracy and power. The Gascogne, as a result, sort of leaves us with a battleship designed for guerrilla warfare, in and out damage output. This is a role that we would often see on a destroyer, but for the Gascogne, it's all about scoring heavy damage where you can with the main battery, and then getting the hell out of dodge as quickly as possible. The whole nose in to the enemy as a battleship kind of playstyle that we're familiar with battleships is incredibly ineffective with this ship, as you have to sacrifice not only half your firepower, but the armor on the Gascogne is painfully average, even on the bow, making her a really rough ship for brawling overall. With the right angle, you should be able to mitigate some of the damage, but nosing on and broadsiding enemy ships, even cruisers, can see you eat a lot of damage quickly. Another risk that this ship runs when it comes to brawling, and when nosing in particular, is losing a gun, which is a one-way ticket straight to destination fucked with this ship, as it kills half your firepower essentially, and leaves you with nothing to fire back at enemies with if you're nosing in or making a run for it. So again, going for those hit and runs, getting back into stealth and setting up your next strike is key here with this ship. It's all about taking a shot, getting back into stealth, and then coming back to the fight prepared on your own terms. As a result, I focused on improving the concealment of this ship and the main battery dispersion to once again give this ship more functionality as a guerrilla warfare in a night style of battleship. A huge help with this was the concealment expert skill for the commander, as it gives you plenty more time to prepare yourself for your next strike and gives you more of a chance to close the gap on enemies undetected so that you aren't at the total mercy of the dispersion of your main guns. Decreasing the chance of fires and flooding, as well as increasing the readiness of the damage control party, was also a massive help with this ship to minimize any sort of conditional damage that you might receive while stealthed, considering that the whole idea of remaining concealed minimizes the chance of alpha damage overall. So this is basically a counter to the other type of damage, which is going to be a huge issue for you. As for your ship upgrades, this ship needs all the help it can get to keep the main guns active and efficient. So main armaments mod 1 and aiming systems mod 1 are absolutely essential to ensure that you don't lose out on any guns when you're in a firefight, and that your guns, well, actually hit whatever you're aiming at and not the fish nearby. An upgrade that I would normally never equip on a battleship but have done on the Gascogne is steering gears mod 1. I know, a weird choice, but considering the focus on mobility here, building on that focus with some upgrades just makes you that much better at dodging torpedoes and hiding your fragile broadside. As for the 5th slot, I was torn. Concealment System Mod 1 was the clear first choice here because, well, it helps your concealment, which is what we're trying to do in the first place here. But I also saw use in the Target Acquisition System Mod 1 for its enhanced torp detection, which gives you a lot more of an opportunity to abuse the disgusting rudder shift on this ship that we've actually just upgraded it again with the previous slot. Normally I wouldn't go for this sort of thing because the rudder shift on other battleships, even with the enhanced torp detection, simply just isn't worth it and isn't good enough to do torpedo beats in most cases. With that said though, with this ship, that's a totally different situation. So all in all, we're creating a ship that is a total bitch to torp for destroyers. And trust me, I've seen a lot of destroyer players get incredibly tilted while I'm playing this ship. And overall guys, that gives you an idea as to what the Gascogne is all about. If it's any indication as to what the French battleships are going to be like when they are fully released, I think we may see a line of battleships that are totally dedicated to maneuverability and guerrilla warfare. The maneuverability on this ship allows for it to basically decide the terms of engagement. It doesn't need to sit broadsiding enemy vessels, and it can simply turn in and out to essentially angle its armor when it needs to, and when it needs to get a full broadside of gunfire onto a target, it can do that really quickly and then once again angle armor accordingly. This is a ship that is an absolute bitch to enemy destroyers and could very well be a great destroyer counter in the battleship world if it were to go live this way. Guys, I wanted to keep this sort of video short because at the end of the day this is a first impressions video, not a full review. We still do not know the final stats of this ship. This is still an early testing version of this ship and we are waiting to see what the main version will come out like. This is just to give you guys an idea as to what the Gascogne is like currently and what you might or might not be able to expect from the ship in the near future. Guys, if you enjoyed today's video, then a backhanding of that like button would be greatly appreciated. If you find yourself backhanding that like button and you're new to the channel, then feel free to backhand that subscribe button whilst you're at it to keep up to date with the content in which I'm releasing here. And say you want to catch me live on my Twitch channel, then there is a link to that down in the description down below. Let me know guys what you think of this ship based on first impressions. Do you think it's a nice niche? Do you think it's useless? Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Once again guys, hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I'll be seeing you all next time. Have a good one.